Hello, my name is Kathy Carpenter, and I work for the Warren County Educational Service Center as their mathematics specialist. This presentation is intended to share with you some ideas about getting to know the Common Core standards in mathematics, as well as available resources that can help you in implementation. The first resource is my email address at the bottom of this slide. Please feel free to email me at any point to ask for suggestions or get information about up-to-date resources that are available. So I wanted to share with you a few ideas today about what's happening with the Common Core mathematics and what has happened and what will be happening. The first thing to keep in mind are these major shifts that are happening that cut across all grade levels and all areas of mathematics. These can be thought of as kind of an umbrella of ideas that permeate all areas. So the first one is focus. And rather than just teaching students a checklist of mathematical topics, we're moving to concentrated areas that move in and out of the curriculum. And as you study the standards, you'll see that there are topical areas that come in elementary that completely go away in middle school, and other areas that come in middle school and go away in high school, and so on and so forth. The second shift is coherence. Rather than just having this disjointed list of topics that we teach students, we're going to have ideas that increase in sophistication with each grade level. Students will have the opportunity to make connections among ideas both within their grade level and across grade levels, and that makes the learning richer and more connected. The bottom three shifts can be thought of as under the big heading of rigor. And mathematics becomes more rigorous when students can apply what they're learning, when they can demonstrate conceptual understanding, and then when they also have that procedural skill and fluency that goes beyond just memorizing steps to solve problems. So we're going to ask students, rather than having them solve problems after they learn content, we're going to use that problem solving as a vehicle to learn the content. And that's where the content becomes more purposeful and meaningful to them. Rather than just jumping right into procedures, students are going to be assessed for understanding at a conceptual level and have to demonstrate conceptual understanding. And finally, rather than just drilling students with procedures, we're going to ask them to use multiple strategies to really demonstrate fluency in mathematics rather than just speed and procedural skill. So these shifts are ideas that you can look at the standards and have great rich discussions not only with your teachers but also with your students about how mathematics is being learned. So the Common Core is organized into two main areas. We have the standards for mathematical content, and we have the standards for mathematical practice. So we'll start with the content standards, and in grades K-8, these are going to be organized by what are called domains, which are big mathematical topics such as number and operations in base 10, or counting and cardinality. And then in high school, those go to more conceptual categories like functions, like statistics. And so you'll see even in K-8 these things shift from grade band to grade band. And then what also comes into play then are all called the standards for mathematical practice. And these are really kind of those habits of mind that students use in how we do mathematics. Reasoning, problem solving, they connect with the content standards in each grade. And most interestingly is that when we get to the PARCC assessments, that these are going to be tested. You will get information back from the assessments that tell how your students not only are learning content, but also how they're learning these practices. So let's talk about the K-8 mathematics standards for just a little bit to give you an idea. So in K-8, you have them kind of divided into two sub areas, which are the K-5 standards and the 6-8 standards. So in K-5, they're focusing on the four major operations. They introduce fractions as well as decimals. And then in 6-8, we move to more formalization of ideas in algebra, geometry, and probability and statistics, in addition to some number structure kind of ideas. So when the standards developers were developing the Common Core, they really looked at high-performing countries in grades 7 and 8, And what you'll see is that what we traditionally may have taught as beginning high school geometry and algebra is now included for all students in grades 7 and 8 as part of their grade level standards. So when you look at placing students in algebra in particular, you'll want to pay close attention to those grade level standards for grades 7 and 8 and benchmark your Algebra 1 content accordingly. The standards for mathematical practice then stay common throughout the grade levels, grades K through 12, and these are the 8 standards you see listed here. We're asking students not only to make sense of problems, but we're asking them to persevere in solving them. We're asking students to not to construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. That's very important. That's probably my favorite practice. And the other one that's important to notice is attending to precision, and that takes on different meanings in different grade levels. So if I'm precise in 3rd grade, for example, it's different than when I get to 7th and 8th grade and I'm looking more formally at precision versus accuracy, for instance. So these are standards you're going to see cut across every grade level and every domain. So as you go through the content, you want to look for opportunities to use for students to use these practices as a vehicle for learning the content they're learning. So the mathematics standards will be assessed in Ohio using the PARCC assessment, and they have several tools developed for you to look at, and I'm sure those will be visited in other parts of this session, but I would draw your attention very carefully to the practice tests, to the assessment blueprints, and then this fall they will be releasing in mathematics performance assessment samples. What you might want to do is go to the PARCC website, parcconline.org, and put your email address in for the RSS feed. That is the feed that will tell you anytime there's an update to their resources. And then you get an email that gives you that most up-to-date information. 2 other websites that I'll draw your attention to that will be very helpful is the illustrativemathematics.org website listed there. That is an archive and a repository of items that are tagged to each standard, and you can search by standard by grade level and show they show information about what the standards mean in the form of assessment items and tasks. And then the other resource that has been very helpful in working with teachers is the Engage New York website. If you go to their Common Core tab and look at the mathematics modules, you'll see a very rich openly available curriculum that teachers can use to help them get started with the standards. So those are some tools that I would really draw your attention to as you try to weave through the standards. I've been working to develop some resources for the Warren County ESC schools that are also available to you. The first link there goes to our Curriculum Services webpage. And if you look at the right-hand column, you'll see alignment charts with grade level indicators. If you still have teachers who are transitioning from the old standards in Ohio, I've tried to map the Common Core standards by grade level to those grade level indicators. And you also see links there to webinars that introduce the standards grade band by grade band and kind of domain by domain. If you'd like better links to those or other information, please send me an email and I'm happy to share that with you. The other resource we've been working on is the Warren County YouTube channel, and if you go to the link that's listed there, I've created some brief presentations on introducing the performance level descriptors, which will help you learn how the PARCC assessments will be specifically determining student performance levels as far as whether or not they meet the standards in these main content areas. So those 2 links there should be very helpful in helping you dig a little bit deeper into the standards. The other work that we've developed for the Warren County schools are pacing and alignment processes with the performance-based assessments and the end-of-year tests. As you hopefully know, PARCC will be assessing in 2 different kind of testing periods. First will be the performance-based assessment, and second will be the end-of-year test. And you want to make sure that you have your content aligned so that you address the standards on each of those assessments before those assessments occur. And if you don't, then that's going to be difficult for students to perform well on them. And I'll tell you just anecdotally, I've worked with one district where we really changed the order of their fifth grade mathematics curriculum to accommodate these two assessment windows. So that's going to be something for you to really take a close look at. We're also developing Padlet websites for resources. If you go to this link, you'll see a listing of many resources to help in high school geometry. I'll be adding other Padlet sites throughout the year. If you want to email me, I'll send those out when those are available. And then the last item that I've worked on for the Warren County Schools is some SLO development for high school. And I'd be happy to share with you any information on that as you go through that process. So those are some other kind of Warren County specific resources that have been in the works for our schools. So I'm sure that this presentation gains you more questions maybe than answers at this point. So I would encourage you to start by studying the standards, taking a look at the PARCC tools and the other resources that are developed. And then, of course, please feel free to email me at any point, and I'm happy to help you along in this journey. Thank you.